little bit more of a chill lift today, but this is what I would consider my well, the equivalent of a rest day for me. I'm not you're not going to catch me skip the gym outright. Definitely not skip cardio outright as well. At least not unless I was well, I'd have to be pretty dog sick to do a full-on rest day, or like insanely fatigued. You know, if for whatever reason I do a leg day and then the next day I am like, I can tell my legs are so tired for whatever reason that I should take a day off, then I will. But usually that's just doesn't happen. If you eat enough food and you sleep enough and you're hydrated enough, plus if you train consistently, you get used to the stress of training, you can do it on a pretty fucking solid loop. You know, rest days here and there, of course, but I think the majority of rest days that are taken by, by everybody, it is not always, it's like, oh, today is an actually beneficial rest day. I need to take a day off because I can tell my stress and my fatigue is building up. This will help me come back and lift harder tomorrow. No, man. 90% of these rest days that are being taken, at least unplanned rest days, it's always, I just don't feel like it. I'm kind of tired. I'm going to be kind of busy today. Screw it. I'll save chest for tomorrow. And even though those two lifters did the same thing, they both took a rest day. One had a real valid reason, and the other one was, more on the schmuck side of things. So that's where I, even if I need to have a bit of extra rest for my whole kind of system, there's still room for a forearm and calf day. Right, that's not going to hit my central nervous system or generally fatigue me the same or even close to just a regular ass fucking chest day. So that's always kind of been my mentality, and I think it's a bit easier for me to say that because I came up when I was younger, before getting into all the training, with a lot of just fucking sports and shit. Like it was it was just practice every day with other stuff. So once some of that cleared out of my schedule, it was pretty easy to just add consistent training right into my routine. But that's not something which I think is unfucking attainable. I've been doing minimal rest days for quite a while. I'm talking even back when I was just a beginner lifter, and it's not it's just fucking whatever. I think it really has to do with a potentially less than actual representation of what you kind of think you're capable of. And I hear lifting every day, oh, there's no way you could recover from that kind of training. It's like, yeah, you might have some trouble if you don't eat enough food, or if you're sleeping 4 hours a night, or if you drink maybe a liter of water a day on the high end, and then that liter is just coming from 4 monsters. Yeah, that guy might have some hard time fucking recovering. But somebody who's actually on top of things with their recovery, with everything that goes into it, dude, hit the gym as often as possible, I say. But if you're just doing like a 6-day week split, you got Sundays off, don't sweat it. You're still good, right? But this is something where it's not just a basic rule to follow. It's more of a self-policing kind of situation. If you're going hard, and if you're not. So it's just it's kind of up to you, right? But whoa, what's going on here? Oh my god, the guy behind me just got pulled over. It scared me. But let's get forearms and calves done. I haven't done forearms for like a month and a half. Or no. Just like a full month, but I noticed that they actually beefed up a bit from having them consistently in my routine for those first 2 months of this bulking phase. I like it. I want beefier fucking forearms. So let's just get started. So this is the easy part before anything actually fucking, heavy kind of dumbbell this way. So I'll just show the one, but I'm going to camp out right here for like 7-8 sets. And it's kind of, it's not a muscle that demands insane heft and tension. I'm talking back side of the forearm, because apart from like actual just manual gripping, all this muscle is responsible for either pulling your arm, your hand upward all this kind of stuff, or downward, all these. And you can tell, this is way fucking bigger. And what do you do most in life? I'm talking not even just you every day, but imagine everybody fucking evolving, right? Holding on to shit, swinging around. So you're very strong down here, but when was the last time you ever felt the back of your hand or the back of your forearm getting sore? Right? Fucking never. So just a 22 and a half, 20 reps-ish. Wait till it's really burning. Switch, wait a few minutes. Or no, wait like a minute. Run it back. Okay. Okay. So I'm going to camp out. For you, we can cut to the flexor portion of forearms. So only half the stack for each arm. And this is like the forearm equivalent of a tricep pushdown with the rope. Squeezing weight that's within reason. Like I'm not going to be struggling to move the weight. The struggle is going to come from getting to the bottom and then trying to feel like I want to pull my fingers all the way down to my elbow and then releasing it and making the set hard that way. Like I'm not one to say never do a brutal nasty set, but over the last like 6 or so months, especially from being exposed to all sorts of guys, different kind of training, I'm seeing more value in those squeezing sets where, you know, the weight isn't so much to fucking be impressed by. Yeah. Okay. Probably 2 more here. Okay. All right. Let's do something a little heavier. Usually when I'm fresh and I'm sitting here, I'm grabbing like the freaking hundreds. But I gotta warm myself up. Rep of the 60, rep of the 70, or then I grab rep of the 90 because I'm like 70 wasn't that bad. Dude, no fucking chance. So I'll stick to just a 70. And then same thing as these before. or I guess well, same thing as the cables before. Failure-ish, maybe a little assistance with one arm, switch to the other, wait a few minutes, repeat. And this might be the ender. There's not a, I mean, what's happening? You know, I'm taking my arm from here to here. There's only so many ways to go about it. That's kind of my, at least sort of part of my mental argument against doing a million different movements in one workout. Because break it down to its core component. What are you doing in a curl? This, right? So do you need some straight curls and some hammer curls and some straight bar and some V bar and some reverse? It's like, I'm almost more concerned with doing different movements because they're going to have different strength curves. You know, like for me to do a regular dumbbell curl, right? That's getting heavier as I go up the rep, lighter back down. But something like a preacher is heaviest at the bottom and then actually gets lighter on top so I can really focus on squeezing. You know, I think variability in your sets style almost beats variability in your sets movement, right? I mean, if I do an incline chest press or an incline Smith machine, does my pec fucking know the difference? All it knows is it's getting fucking loaded and I'm burning the shit out of it. You know, so just something to think about. Because I hate seeing guys do 3 fluffy sets on 6 movements. I'd rather see 5 or even just like 3 crazy sets on one movement, move on, 3 on the next. And if you're fully fatigued and pumped, pose down, call it there, and go home. But no more talking. Let's keep going. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Now these I don't mind being a little more rapid with, right? Like with certain kind of chest presses or certain kinds of like flies or pec deck, I like a slow controlled set, squeeze hard. But at the end of a chest day, I know I'm going to get a pretty gnarly pump doing a nice big kind of decline set of even just like reps this quick, just kind of pump as much blood into the area as possible. So that's what I'm thinking here. And this might be it. Or maybe I'll do 2. We'll see. We'll see if I feel pumped enough after this. Yes. Yep. Okay. One more. There we go. Now let's find some lighting, see how forearms look. Do some calves. There we go. So a few minutes have passed. I was doing some chatting. But let's see just how they're looking on their own. And with arms, I'd say that's the muscle where it's going to benefit the most from a little breath hold. You go, kind of squeeze your whole torso, just get a little extra blood in your veins, have them pop out a little more. But be mindful of your level of fatigue, because you're basically asking to knock yourself out. You know, if you ever see somebody deadlift, and they put it down, or even like mid lift, they're holding it. It's from a big brace without a lot of breath. I felt kind of lightheaded, especially on like a chest day, if I do a big breath and then, and then try to do like a crazy, most muscular. Like, so stand up a little dizzy. But let's see how forearms look. Come on. There's some veins in there. So this is what I'm when I talk about that thicker bottom side, that's where I want it to be a very abrupt kind of valley right on my elbow joint and then thicken up at my forearm. So your triceps and the forearm kind of come into play there. But they're pretty much proportional with the arms, especially up here. This is your kind of brachial radialis or whatever. Very responsible for like a hammer curl or a reverse curl type action. Because it's actually like your bicep. You know, your bicep ties into your upper arm and then connects down here at your upper forearm. So it pulls your arm together. This does the same thing in a different way. It kind of ties in down here and crawls over above your elbow. So it plays into a lot of reverse curls. So if it gets too big, honestly, it can kind of look a little funky because it can take away from this thinness of your elbow joint. There's a lot of the older bodybuilder guys, like 80s level, you know, kind of more classic golden era. That was spoken about a ton. You know, it's all about the proportionality and the mystique of like, you know, big round arms, but then your elbow joints kind of tighten down. Right? When I start dieting down, like my torso, shoulder to shoulder right here, it's actually going to shrink. I'm going to get a bit more depleted. I'm going to, well, I guess that's the main thing. But over the course of that dieting phase, I'll look bigger because my waist will shrink down as well. Plus, I won't have a ton of food in my stomach, which is kind of making me even more blocky, you know? So that's another deterrent to guys from bulking up, is because not only do they get a bit softer, but depending on your fat distribution, you know, everybody's got it in their size, their lower back, their stomach. When your torso, your midsection gets a little bit thicker, it really does take away from the whole illusion of like that Dorito shape. Or if you're a girl, the 4%, that kind of hourglass shape. But if packing on a bit of muscle over a certain period of time is what you want to do, and you're not having luck trying to do a main gaining style approach, then a calorie surplus should be in your future if you can handle a few months of not looking exactly how you want to. But how does anything else get done, man? I mean, if you look at a fucking building, it doesn't start off all clean and pristine and shiny. It starts off just basic fucking framework, construction guys walking all over it, covered in fucking dirt. But you got to build up that framework down here to be able to pile results, lean down, and get to this fucking point on top. But let's go camp out, do some calves. I'll probably, I mean, well, let's see what we do. But it's not unheard of for me to just sit on the calf machine, like seated or on like a leg press or something, and just do 8 sets right there. No changing it up. You know, no need to go too complicated. Let's work my way up. I've got a bad habit of just, and by bad, I mean, I've got a habit that results in very repetitive training. Because usually when I think calves, at least historically, I'm like, okay, let's go heavy. Let's put a ton of tension through them. You know, that's what responds. But that's taken away from those light kind of squeezing reps. Actually, what am I doing here? I need one more plate on this side. But same thing with basically forearms today. Let's start with a lighter kind of squeezing rep. Actually hold the contraction a bit slower in the negative. And then as I get more and more fatigued, I'll be kind of switching my focus from really holding a crazy contraction to, you know, trying to finish off and really pump up whatever muscle I'm hitting. So let's start with just 2 plates aside. Left calf first, since it's a bit smaller. Basic failure. Repeat on the right side, match reps, and we can go from there. my gosh. Oh, yeah. 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 Oh, yeah. Let's spam these. Yeah. Okay. I think some sanding machine should be good. A little tricky for me though, because I usually don't love this. Because for me, my calves and my knees and like my ankle, something in that equation is off kilter. And maybe it's just calf insertion strength. When I was so with all the diving, which was like fucking from a kid to well, when I was 19, what you do is you don't just do a couple bounces or whatever. You have like a whole little approach. And right before you do a big double leg jump, you got a big one leg jump. Right? So it's like having your kicking leg being a little bit stronger. For me, my right calf has always been ahead of the game. And whenever I do double leg calf movements, I can usually tell the right one is doing more of the work in and not in like a balanced way, like in more to the point where I'm like, okay, my left leg's not getting enough. So I think let's kind of do a best of both worlds. 5 reps on the left, 5 on the right, 5 on the left, 5 on the right. Do that until I'm basically too fatigued to keep going. Then make it a drop set by switching to both legs at once and then burning out. So basically having the weight for each leg without having to actually move anything. I need a fucking haircut soon. Haircut get caught on these pads. Oh yeah, it's too heavy. Straight to both legs. Oh. Actually, let's just do a double leg set next. Yeah. Let's find some lighting and see how these fucking chicken wings look. I guess drumsticks is the right word, huh? This isn't a full body pump check. This is just the goddamn lowest of lowest extremities. So let's just give them the spotlight. But honestly, calves don't look as cool pumped as they do unpumped in my reasonably lifting experience. It's like they're cool, but honestly, a lot of the kind of freaky line work that comes with being leaner, like way in here. Like there's all sorts of fancy stuff going on, but it's all kind of hidden by the fact that I've got a little bit of a layer of fucking flubber kind of covering over it. And not much, but enough where it does kind of take away from the freak factor of them. But even from the front, that's a pretty reasonable taper from ankle to, well, what do you call this? Just calf. So, plan now, pack up everything, go eat something, get some rest, and then tomorrow we'll be back to our kind of regular at-home routine sort of thing. Holy crap. So one little tip for anybody who's trying to maximize their squatting strength. If you have a complete hamstring pump combined with a calf pump, depending on how big you are, they almost like run into each other. Like the only reason my legs aren't bending anymore is because my hamstrings are hitting my calves. I wonder if there's any power lifters that take advantage of that fact. Maybe not, but makes me curious. That's a whole different realm I'm not involved with. But let's get out of here. Did not mean to deprive you guys of the post-workout breakdown these last 2 days. Don't worry, that was a one-off kind of situation. I don't have my little wall suction cup for this car, so I kind of just had to head straight back and get some meals in. It was a little bit of a time crunch, more than normal. But that forearm and calf today, forearm and calves today, abso-freaking-lutely perfect. Calves are a guy-by-guy basis, right? If your calves need a lot of work, I would recommend giving them the work that they need. But I'm not completely upset with my calf development, so they're going to maintain a reasonably frequent hittage, or what do you say, usage? Pumpage? You get the gist. But it's forearms. I think I want to add forearms in. I might add forearms to something. I don't have a lot of fluff in my routine to the point where I actually want to add any muscle groups to any other. But I do want some more forearms. So maybe I'll add forearms to the end of arms. I could see something like that happening. But either way, we'll see. Though I definitely want to add a couple more sets per week, just because I know it does have a direct effect with growing them. And that's anything. I mean, I almost did some neck curls purely for demonstration purposes, because, same thing too, man. If you think your neck wants to be or needs to be a little bit thicker, which, depending on the guy and your particular neck genetics, could be your situation. I'm in no way kind of calling you out for it. If you want it to thicken up, man, right? Grab a 20-pound dumbbell, lay down on the bench, or like if you're just at your house, lay down on the ground, hold it in your hands, and then rest your hands on your forehead, and then just sit here and kind of pump reps out. Honestly, just doing that would do you some good, because a lot of thickness in your neck is just coming from these two big muscles up the sides of you. But if you want to be extra crazy, grab a lighter dumbbell, maybe more like a 10 or something, or a 10-pound plate, lay down sideways, and then do some sideways curls like that. I'm not necessarily recommending that you get your hands on like a Neckzilla, or whatever that kind of head attachment is, where it's like it looks like you had a goddamn spinal or like cranial contusion, and now suddenly your whole thing is like attached to a weighted cable. I don't think that's I'm not going to say it doesn't work, but it is I think a bit sillier than necessary, But I'm not joking. If that's you, working that muscle directly is a fucking solid way to actually induce some growth. And there's not really much way around it, So if I want a bigger chest, I'm going to work it. If I want bigger lats, if I want bigger traps, if I want bigger arms, if I want bigger legs, if I want bigger everything, and it's a muscle, working it is going to do me good. So, what was I was I to say something? Oh yeah, abs absolutely are included in those terms. So this is a good time to reference. Say I'm You never work your abs, but somehow, even though you're bulking, I can still see them. What's going on here? And I tell you what, I have an answer for you. And it's kind of well, it's not really magic. It's more so just an explanation. I worked my abs a lot. Worked past tense, and not just from when I was younger doing like sports kind of crunch workouts and stuff. I mean, even actual weighted, like, weighted cable crunches, weighted machine crunches. I think that's really where your money's at when it comes to ab work. Like, you can do planks and you can do, toe touches and whatever else, but and maybe it's just because I'm like weightlifter oriented, but in my mind, okay, if I want to grow my chest, I'm not going to do 500 fucking push-ups. I'm going to do heavy sets of bench or heavy sets of cable flies or whatever else. Load that muscle with mechanical tension and then work it to failure, or at least to an insane degree of like burnage, right? Like a lighter squeezing set. And the same thing fucking applies for abs, I think. Now, I wouldn't recommend grabbing like 100-pound dumbbell and doing side raises, where you're working your like your obliques, because weighted oblique work, like I said, it is gonna grow that muscle. It will kind of thicken you up on the sides. Now, weighted frontal abdominal work, like a crunch machine or like a cable or a kneeling cable crunch, that I stand behind a fucking 1,000,000%. But again, it is a little bit trickier because now you have to add that into your routine somewhere. I always had the most luck doing that after cardio, which, another benefit, do your fucking cardio. Because then after I do my 30 minutes or 20 minutes, if I'm trying to bulk up now, I would just run over to the cable machine, put a pad down, knees directly on the gym floor, not ideal, and then 8 sets of a heavy weight, really kind of squeeze. And I'm not even taking it to insane muscular failure, like, oh, I can't move it anymore. Like, I'm doing like 20 reps with and you are pretty strong with your abs, so the stack isn't like crazy. Like 20 reps with the stack to the point where like my abs are really fucking burning, and then rack it, wait a few minutes, do it again, and then just do 7 or 8 sets of that. Got a little distracted by the guy's jackhammering, but that's the answer. There is a very strong adage: abs are made in the kitchen. No. Abs are revealed at the kitchen, but they're made in the fucking gym. And depending on what your upstart for working out was, you might not have the best ab development as the non-lifter. If you're coming from a sports background, those guys are going to have the most ab development already, because your abs are coming to play pretty much forever, right? In all sorts of every kind of movement. Like if you're if you're a football player, if you're whoever else, and you're let's even say fucking offensive lineman, man. For you to push hard with your hands, you have to use your abs to hold yourself in position to transfer that load. They get worked all the fucking time. So for me, I'm a bit spoiled because when I did from doing diving, right, when I was younger, plus all the gymnastics, very ab-centered workouts, right? A lot of leg lifts, a lot of crunches, a lot of V-ups, a lot of sometimes we do sort of like medicine ball sit-ups where you catch a medicine ball, crunch, you throw it to a guy, you catch it again, that sort of stuff, which it works, right? So before I even started working out, my ab development was already enough to be pretty reasonably visible. And then the the adverse activation from like squatting or bracing or doing like a tricep push down or whatever else, plus just flexing them in the mirror, they're not going anywhere. But if you can tell, for some guys, I'm not joking, even if they're diced, their stomach can be very flat looking, without a very big peak and valley between each ab, because it's a muscle, right? If you want that serious separation between them, then the actual muscular part itself has to be developed enough. It's it's not just magic. And it's easy for me to envision that, especially if you look at any ab anatomy, right? Because the way your abs work, it's kind of a funky muscle compared to anything else, because with your chest, with your biceps, with your quads, with everything, all of your muscles are like basically a big ball of muscle that ties into one tendon, right? So you've got a big ball of a bicep that ties into your tendon that goes onto your forearm. You got a huge fucking pec that all ties into just some tendons up here. Whereas your abs are basically a chain of muscle, tendon, muscle, tendon, muscle, tendon. So that's how you get those, like if you get a six pack, right? That's 3 sets of 2 abs with a little bit of tendon in between. So that tendon portion, that's the valley. And then that ab muscle, that's the kind of peak. So you can get as lean as you fucking want, but if your abs aren't developed, then you're not really going to show them off. So if you can tell you're kind of in that space, like if you flex your abs right now and you can't kind of feel a ridge in between each one of them, then I'd say add some cable crunches, like heavy, go until they're burning. You know, even if somebody just did 8 sets a week once and added that to the routine, you would notice a difference. I'd probably recommend doing 8 sets twice a week, but you know, I don't want to. It gets a little tricky to change your training if you make a very abrupt addition. So that's one more thing I haven't referenced in a little while. But when I'm bulking up, I don't want to. My abs are big enough. I don't need them to be any thicker. When I'm dieting down though, and I'm not in a muscle gaining state, I'm just in a muscle revealing state, then I'll do some abs. You know, there is kind of some muscle building, like bodybuilder jargon, where they say it's like, you know, guys who work their abs when they're dieting, their abs look better, kind of like crisper, which, you know, they don't, when they say that, they don't explain it with like some scientific reasoning, but they are in a group of literally hundreds of thousands of guys who go through the process of, you know, bodybuilding diets every time. So if that's the consensus, the guys who diet with ab training have the best looking abs, then that's what I do. Plus, I just kind of like it. You know, I'll, even though my shoulders are big enough right now, I still like to hit them sometimes just because I like it. So, same thing with abs. When I diet down and I'm not growing, I'm going to do much more ab training. But that's a little background there into some of the reasoning as to why there's not much ab training right now. But it'll come back. It'll freaking come back. So plan now, get some food into my system, get a night's rest, and then tomorrow is going to be legs. Whoops. I've never driven here before. I gotta listen to my maps at the same time. You know. So today's day 108 of the bulk. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. My momentum has started to slow a little bit, which I'm not absolutely freaking over, considering this bulk is already a 10-pound personal record compared to the last one. So the bulk is already successful. I have achieved what I wanted to achieve, right? More muscle with, you know, a bit of body fat under on top. You know, you can't really get around it. So I'll see just how much food I can continue to eat over these coming months, because there's no point beating a dead horse. And what I mean by that is, if you've ever bulked seriously for long enough, then you'll know that the thing that stops you from continuing to gain weight, at least in most cases, I think, and especially in my case, it isn't like some magic wall that you suddenly run into. It's just that you can't handle getting any more fucking calories in. You know, like your appetite especially slows down. So maybe it's not even that you physically can't handle it, but it's that the sensation, like, you know, your hunger, it's just not there. You know, especially not the same as it was in the beginning of the bulking phase. So what I want to do is push myself as hard as I can, continue to be in a bulking state, gaining weight slowly. But if I catch myself like, okay, I really can't put any more food in, I'm not gaining any weight, then I've done this before, I kind of waste time. Because I've done bulks where, you know, I gained weight pretty steadily for 3 months, 3.5 months, and then I continued to stay in a bulk state, like, you know, eating enough to stay that weight for another 2 months, but I didn't grow at all during that time. So what that tells me is I just plateaued, and I kept trying to break past it, but I couldn't. And then that's 2 months where I could have been dieting down, getting ready for the next bulk to happen. So that's where I would, you know, I've been saying I would love 280 by Christmas, but if I, you know, if I waste 2 months of time trying to bulk, but not actually gaining any weight, then that's just lost time in my mind. So we'll see. This bulking phase is not ending today, and it's definitely not ending in the coming days, but that is a decision that I'm going to have to make on a kind of week by week basis. You know, it's not just magically the number is already set. It's taking it by, you know, looking at the variables of the results that I'm actually getting. So that's just something where we'll have to see. But I'm definitely, I'm going to make sure not to let my enthusiasm for getting lean cloud my judgment. If I know I can get another 5 pounds in the next couple months, then that's what I'm going to do. But I'll, well, you know, I'm going to keep you updated. So I will see you tomorrow for legs. And whether or not that leg day ends up being very heavy or maybe a little bit lighter pressing wise, we will just have to find out. But I'll see you then.